We are in a war against adversaries we cannot see or interact with directly.
A war being conducted by both nation-states and groups of individuals as varied as profiteers, cyber thieves, and terrorists, working separately and sometimes together. This is a war undertaken by humans against machines using machines. There are no rules in this war. There are no territories to conquer and occupy. The objectives? To steal and extort money from people and financial institutions. To disrupt operations of all kinds, including manufacturing, financial, and infrastructure. To steal intellectual property, to conduct espionage. That is, spying on governments, militaries, companies, competitors, people, everyone, and everything. My name is Gary Dorst. Years ago, a cybersecurity expert pointed out a significant network security problem. Open and unprotected cyber attack vectors enabling the ability to get inside internal networks and their support systems, to spy on them, to steal from them, and to attack them. As time has gone on, the problem has been getting worse, not better. More of these undefended attack vectors have been opened and network security has been compromised. My role has been to create algorithms that detect and defend these unprotected cyber attack vectors in real time. Cyber attacks originate from many sources. Most companies and governmental organizations don't report cyber attacks unless they're forced to, either by law or circumstance. There's little reporting on cyber attacks because of a concern that people will become afraid or lose confidence in cyber defenses. This is particularly true of financial institutions. Many, if not most, have come under some kind of attack and have lost hundreds of millions of dollars. These companies have come to believe that a loss of confidence will cost them more than the funds that they've lost to cyber criminals. Another reason is that cyber attacks are initiated, investigated, and managed by the intelligence services. Across the world, the most highly classified activity is cyber war, and that is particularly true of the U.S. The U.S. intelligence agencies overclassify their activities in cyber, and in doing so, obscure the threats that we face. What you can be sure of is that if your company or governmental agency has anything of value, there is someone out there who is looking to get into your systems, to sell it, to monitor you, to eventually damage your operations, to create chaos and confusion, to destroy you. And if you're expecting the U.S. Army or Air Force Cyber Command to come to your rescue, think again. They're there to protect the DoD and the intelligence agencies, not commercial or private interests or other governmental agencies. You are on your own. Contrary to many people's beliefs regarding the nature of cyber attacks, the best and most effective attacks are well planned and involve lengthy surveillance of the target. These are the kinds of attacks that do the most damage. These attacks generally involve the planting of a surveillance process on the target's computer and networking systems that communicate and is under the control of the attacker. Surveillance process communications enables the attacker to control and manage the activities of the surveillance process. This would include receiving data about the target system or instruct the surveillance process to spread itself to other systems in the targeted network, or to plant other types of processes throughout the target systems, including the process that would perform the actual attack. An attack could entail shutting down systems, stealing important documents, or money. The longer the time that attackers' surveillance and attack processes can remain undetected, the more effective the attack and the greater likelihood that other attacks can be initiated in the future without detection. If your cyber weapon is good enough, if your enemy is not aware of it, then it is an ideal weapon because your enemy does not understand what is happening to him. This quote is at the center of our discussion. What this means is that the best exploit, the best cyber weapon, has the quality of being undetectable, whether it involves spying on, stealing from, disrupting the operations and defeating or destroying your target or adversary. If you believe that you're not a target, then you're the best target to attack because you're the most vulnerable and the least likely to recognize that you've been or are being attacked. And you're the easiest target to defeat or destroy. The best communications channels for the attacker to use is one that the target cannot block and is unable to control the contents that flow through it. Those channels belong to Voice over IP, or VoIP. VoIP is an internet protocol designed to transmit encoded voice data. VoIP messages contain digital data. Not waveforms, not speech, data. Most data security professionals have little understanding of VoIP and the potential threats VoIP poses to their data systems. This is largely because they don't fully understand VoIP and that VoIP channels can be used to carry data other than voice. Quality of service requirements make it so that VoIP channels are lightly or completely unsecured, thus making them vulnerable and easily hijacked by cyber attackers. One of the best uses of VoIP is as an attack vector to use it to communicate with planted malware, such as a surveillance process. It can also be used as the vector to plant malware, especially if a communications link has been set up with malware already running on the target system. I know the NSA is aware of all of this, and you can be sure that every other intelligence agency, as well as every other cyber criminal organization in the world, is aware of this as well. For decades, data and voice have been separate systems. Only recently have they been merged, with voice becoming data. In the past, telephone people managed voice systems, and data people managed the data systems, including connecting to the internet and other IP networks. But even though voice and data are now merged onto IP networks, most data systems managers and security professionals continue to regard voice and data systems as separate entities. And the focus of cybersecurity professionals has been on securing data channels with little concern or understanding, or focus on securing channels dedicated to VoIP. Their focus has been on ensuring the quality of service of the voice system is satisfactory, and not whether the voice system is being used as a vector for a cyber attack. Here are some things you need to know about why VoIP is such an attractive vector for a cyber attacker. VoIP channels are dynamically assigned with each call setup. This further complicates security. Call setup messages cannot be inspected without creating unacceptable delay that would negatively impact quality of service. And any thought of performing deep packet inspections of VoIP payloads in real time are completely out of consideration. This would introduce latency and jitter that would make voice unintelligible, and as a result would make the quality of service completely unacceptable and voice services useless. VoIP has been left open and unfettered in order to maintain quality of service, which also makes it easily exploitable. One attempt has been made to protect data systems from VoIP is traffic segregation. This has become unworkable. Computers have the capability to make VoIP calls. VoIP and data traffic are merged. Finally, since VoIP remains unmonitored and uncontrolled by data security systems, it is extremely attractive to cyber attackers. Data security systems do not have the capability to detect when VoIP channels are being used by a cyber attacker. 6 years ago, I raised the issue that medical devices with radio interfaces could be hacked. The response to the alarm I raised was less than lukewarm. Several medical device security professionals thought the concerns that I raised were overblown. How things have changed. Now, there's a heightened concern bordering on panic regarding the lack of security of implantable medical devices. Dismissal of a real security threat had them arrive too late to eliminate it before it created real problems. Now they're in crisis mode trying to address it. I've heard this statement time and again. Dismissal is not a strategy. If you are a cybersecurity professional and you have not understood that the security measures that you've taken are not enough, that they don't apply to everything your data center handles, this can be disastrous to your organization and the people who work in it. You are responsible for putting everyone and everything at risk if you don't take steps to fix it. Cyber attackers don't just stay in the data lanes. You can't say that it hasn't happened or can't happen if you don't have the means to detect it. The evidence is that it can happen, and more than likely is happening. Your adversaries are smart, persistent, well-trained, and are either state-sponsored or oftentimes working under contract with an adversarial government's intelligence services. Don't take my word for it. Read what members and former members of the intelligence services are saying.